Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. 4 months ago, my guest made history when he became the first Congress Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir in 30 years. But he also inherited a crown of thorns. He is perhaps the only elected head of government who faces so many daunting challenges that perhaps his own life is often at stake. Here to talk about the most serious problems that he has to contend with is the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Ghulam Navi Azad. Mr. Azad, on the plus side, you're the first Congress Chief Minister after 30 years. On the negative side, unlike your predecessors, you can't act as a buffer between the center and the state. You can't ventilate the sentiment of autonomy as your predecessors did, and often people look upon you as Delhi's man in Srinagar. So do you have handicaps?
Well, I don't know whether it is a handicap or an advantage. Insofar as I'm concerned, I feel this is an advantage. I have brought with me an experience of 25 to 26 years, having worked with Mrs. Indira Gandhi in her Council of Ministers, with Rajiv Gandhi as Minister, in Mr. Rao's cabinet, Mr. Manmohan Singh's cabinet. So I would like to say that over past 26 years, I have been working right from Indira Gandhi with Mrs. Sonia Gandhi.
So you're saying that unlike your predecessors, you understand Delhi a lot better than they did because you have direct experience of Delhi?
Well, many people do not know that the government, the federal government, the heads of the governments, the foreign ministry and the ministers in the government of India are very much concerned about the welfare and well-being of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and I'm lucky to have been associated all through.
I accept that, but what about the opposite? Because you haven't been involved in Kashmir politics in a direct way, in the sense in which Farooq Abdullah or Mufti Saab was involved, perhaps you're new and inexperienced in Srinagar.
No, this is what I'm saying, that not many people know that even in Delhi, the prime ministers and other ministers have all through been involved in Kashmir affairs, and there used to be a Kashmir group all through, and luckily I have been member of that group right from Mrs. Indira Gandhi's time till date. So I know what is the policy of the government of India vis-a-vis Kashmir. Many people in Kashmir may know what they want to do, but they do not know what government of India wants to do.
In which case, are you telling me that you feel completely confident as Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir?
I'm sure.
You feel you know the problems? You feel you have the capacity to handle the problems?
Why not? Why not?
In which case, let's start talking about the challenges and the problems that you face.
Yeah, welcome.
And let's first start with the human rights situation in your state. In February, to the Indian Express, you said proudly that one of the things that you were most happy with is that there hadn't been a single custodial killing since you took over. Now, I put it to you that the Public Commission on Human Rights in Kashmir, a highly respected body in your own state, refutes and disagrees. They say that since November, there have been 12 custodial killings.
No, this is totally, absolutely wrong. Only 2 custodial deaths. And I have said...
But previously you said there were none, so now you accept there are 2.
There were 2. And I have said on the floor of the House, and the Assembly is in session for the past 3 weeks, nobody has contested this, what I'm saying.
But on the 11th of February, to the Indian Express, you said there were no killings at all. So these 2 have happened after the 11th.
Definitely. These have taken place after that, and only 2 custodial deaths have taken place.
And when the Public
in the past 4 months.
But when the Public Commission on Human Rights says there are 12, are you saying they're wrong?
They are wrong, totally wrong, absolutely wrong.
The Greater Kashmir newspaper, which is a highly respected paper in your state, on the 24th of February, reporting a rally held by your ally Mehbooba Mufti in Baramulla, quoted her to say that she believed that human rights violations had increased under your government compared to the record under her father.
Well, I have said on the floor of the House, the number has gone down tremendously and drastically.
But then isn't it worrying that your own ally, the president of your ally party, should say the opposite?
But she shouldn't have said, but I have contested on the floor of the House, and that party has accepted that.
So once again, Mehbooba Mufti is wrong when she says human rights violations have increased under you.
Well, I would like to say that human rights violations are coming down drastically.
Perhaps the single biggest test that you faced as Chief Minister in the last 4 months was Handwara.
That's right.
Omar Abdullah says that you bungled it. You first instituted a magisterial inquiry. When his party protested and boycotted the governor's address, You changed your mind and instituted a judicial inquiry instead.
No, it was much before that. We had decided. As a matter of fact, when this incident took place, I was in Delhi because we had gone to attend the roundtable conference and also have the meeting with Planning Commission. So at that point of time, when I got the full brief about Hindwara, Dudipura, so I had already told my law minister and deputy chief minister to go ahead and search for a judge, which I again said on the floor of the House that I had already ordered for the judicial inquiry.
So when you ordered a magisterial inquiry to begin with, you did so without being fully aware of the
No, definitely, because by
But then shouldn't you have waited to find out the full picture?
No. It is always an immediate response, and then by the time you get the final report, then you have to respond to that.
How effective are these inquiries? Because there have been frequent human rights violations, custodial killings and atrocities in Kashmir, and frequently inquiries have been appointed. And once again, let me quote Omar Abdullah to you. He says, every time we hear the army has ordered a probe, and then we see nothing of it. No one knows what has been the outcome of all these probes and inquiries. In other words, they are a smokescreen to protect rather than attempt to actually find out the truth.
Well, I am very sorry if anybody says that nothing comes out of this. I think people need to do little research and they need to know also what is happening. On the floor of the House, in this very month and also in the month of December, I have said more than half a dozen times the outcome of the judicial inquiries and also magisterial inquiries. I think more than 100 people have been punished so far, even from paramilitary forces, army, the people have been imprisoned. There has been imprisonment, life imprisonment also. The people have been dismissed.
Can I put it like this? If you have as Chief Minister, not just in March, but also in December, clarified on the floor of the House how many people have been dismissed, how many people have been punished, and how many other people have had action taken against them, why does this impression that inquiries don't work, that they are a smokescreen continue? Because what that impression suggests is that faith and trust in the administration and in the government is lacking.
No, there is total faith in the administration and in the government. But unfortunately, in our country, the people would not like to listen to positive things. Everybody is interested in negative things.
Chief Minister, that sounds as if you're saying the people are wrong, the government is right.
I'm not talking about the people. You didn't say about the people. You said about the political leaders, and each political leader has their own politics to do.
So this is simply politics being played?
Definitely. And I would like to say that action has been taken over a period of time, not only during my time, but right from 90, even when there was a governor rule, there was Farooq Abdullah's rule, there was Mufti Saab's rule.
But talking about your time, you're saying to me, regardless of what Mehbooba Mufti says, regardless of what Omar Abdullah says, Ghulam Nabi Azad is extremely proud of the way he's handled human rights in Kashmir.
I must say, in last 15 years, if you compare the 4 months, this has been the minimum custodial deaths and minimum human rights violations.
You mean that?
Yes, I mean it.
This is not just boasting?
No, not boasting, on the floor of the House.
All right, in that case...
Total record, straight way.
Let's in that case come to the second challenge you face, and it's one that you lay a lot of stress on yourself. It's the challenge of corruption. Transparency International has judged that Kashmir is perhaps the second most corrupt state in India. And PTI just last month published a survey which showed that accusations against ministers and senior bureaucrats had increased during 2005 by 34%. The number's gone up from some 713 to 954. You face a daunting challenge. Can you handle it?
Well, I'm very sorry. I'm ashamed that the state which was famous for beauty and also for honesty and integrity today is famous for militancy and corruption.
You mean that you are ashamed of the corruption?
I'm ashamed of the corruption, that such a corruption is in our state. That's why this is one of the areas which I identified to fight with when I took over as Chief Minister.
I want to quote to you two of the things that you have said which have struck a chord with me. You said, I have made it clear either corruption or Azad will continue. The two cannot go together.
I still mean it. I still mean it.
You still mean it?
I still mean it.
You also said...
Let
me finish. You also said, I want to make it clear to everyone in the state, including my ministerial colleagues, that there will be no tolerance of corruption. You mean that as well?
That's right.
You mean every single word of that?
Every single worker, whichever comes in my notice.
If you mean every single word of that, then explain to me, how is it that 2 members of your government have been charged by your own State Accountability Commission with corruption? One of them has 2 charges against him, and he is in fact the president of the State Congress Committee, Zada Saeed. Why are they still in your government?
Well, I'm happy that you have raised this question. But what does the Accountability Commission mean? So unless the charges are proved, I'm sure the moment charges are proved, they will not be there.
Mr. Azad, have you heard of the phrase, Caesar's wife should be above suspicion?
That's right.
What about Caesar's ministers? Can Caesar's ministers be tainted?
No. Let it be very clear. You know, I don't want to go what Narasimha Rao ji did. You've seen the half of the cabinet had gone. Then ultimately they had all scot-free by the courts. So I do not want the public or opposition to level just fall accusation against my ministers or MLAs and I throw them out. I don't want to get trapped in that. So there is an accountability commission. Let the accountability commission prove it. I will throw them out.
Are you sure you're not excusing and protecting ministers?
Not at all. Not at all.
Because the difference between what happened in Mr. Narasimha's time under Hawala and what's happening today when your own accountability commission is accusing ministers in your government is clarified by one simple sentence. Let me quote to you Justice R.P. Sethi, the chairman of the Accountability Commission, who said about Pirzada Saeed, I'm satisfied that if this is a scandal or a scam, which I believe it is, then the minister concerned is fully involved in this transaction. Now,
he has to give the judgment. He has to give the final verdict. He has not given.
Is it acceptable that a man against whom such serious things are said should continue in office?
But I don't know when the proceedings are going on whether he was supposed to say this or not. He has to give his final verdict this way or that way.
But the one reason why your Accountability Commission can't give the final verdict is because Pirzada Saeed will not turn up to summons, will not defend himself as required. In fact, a final order has been sent to him just last week, and he still has not complied. So what you've got is Pirzada Saeed refusing to turn up. You're using that as an excuse for not taking action against Pirzada Saeed, and in the process, people will say, Mr. Azad doesn't mean what he's saying about corruption. They all talk about corruption, but they don't act.
No, one has to prove first, because I do not want to make it a precedent that if there are some charges leveled by a particular person, individual, or a political party, and I go throwing them out, then 10 other cases will come forward. But I would like
to show... That's the only thing you're worried about, the absence of proof. You're sure you're not protecting a colleague?
Not at all.
He is president of your party in the state.
Let the Accountability Commission prove charges against him.
That he now has 2 charges.
He would not be there. He would, let him prove even one. Let the Accountability Commission give his decision, the final verdict. He will not be there for 5 minutes.
Is that a promise?
That's a promise.
An absolute promise.
You will hear on television.
That is a promise you're making to the people of India.
Then let him give the final verdict.
Let's then come to the third challenge you face. It's in fact the relationship with your allies, the PDP. Now, it's no secret, as you know, that they were very reluctant to hand over the chief ministership to you in November. One thought that you would have used the time since then to win them over, but it seems that in fact you've allowed differences to grow. Are you mishandling the PDP?
Well, I don't think there are any differences between PDP and myself. Let it be very clear.
Can I mention 2?
Yeah, you can.
First of all, I've already mentioned how Mehbooba Mufti believes that human rights violations have grown under you. You've answered that. Let me come to the second. The PDP feel that you are deliberately contesting the forthcoming elections in Rafiabad and Patan because you wish to deny them the right of taking over 2 people who have moved from the NC to them. They say that this is bad relationship, this is bad trust.
First of all, we have not decided so far whether we contest or not. But at the same time, let me tell you, these are the 2 constituencies when elections were held in 2002 and we were number 2. So both these seats we lost by 500 votes, whereas PDP was far, far behind.
Absolutely. But in both seats, the sitting MLA crossed over from the National Council conference to the PDP. And remember what happened in Maharashtra. When Narayan Rane and the Shiv Senics in Maharashtra crossed from the Shiv Sena to the Congress, the NCP didn't contest the re-elections. Similarly, why don't you apply that principle
Well,
here?
Kashmir is Kashmir and Maharashtra is Maharashtra. Maharashtra is not Kashmir and Kashmir is not Maharashtra.
But these are your allies, and without these allies, you won't be in power.
Well, the allies should also understand the sentiments of their allies.
In other words, you're saying to them, don't make demands of us. We have a right to make demands of you.
Because we have already done that number of occasions.
Let me point out something to you. Even perhaps a bigger problem with the PDP is the feeling that they think you're drifting towards the national conference.
Well, that's totally lie.
They're deeply suspicious of your friendship with the Abdullahs.
Well, that's totally lie. I have a different way of working. I have been parliamentary affairs over a period of time, 4 times in the last 25 years, and I know how to deal with the political parties. I don't believe in witch hunting. I believe in carrying everybody along, on board in democracy. In democracy, the government does not mean autocracy. So there should be a difference. There is a difference between autocracy and democracy.
But you're saying
the ruling party should take care of each political party.
Quite
so
right.
This is what I have been doing in the parliament also. This is what I would like to do here also.
But you're saying something very interesting. By implication, you're saying that the PDP doesn't understand you.
No,
you're suggesting they don't understand you.
No, they may not understand me. Because why I was most successful parliamentary affairs minister over a period of 25 years, because as parliamentary affairs, I would carry each political party
Quite
along
right.
on board.
And you're doing the same thing here with the national conference.
And then let me tell you, then Kashmir is different. While we are saying, while we are talking to separatist organizations, we are telling separatist organization to come and contest the election and come into the mainstream. So you don't want me to the mainstream political parties to throw out of the mainstream. I want any mainstream political party.
But then don't you understand the problem that I'm talking about? You first of all accepted that the PDP may not fully understand how you function and how you think. Don't you have a need to explain to them? Trust is the basis of this coalition.
But we have I think they understand. They are totally understand my working.
I put it to you that you need to sit down with Mufti Saab and Mehbooba Mufti and talk to them man to man.
I would like to say that I have total understanding with Mufti Saab. I have total understanding with ministers. I have total understanding with Deputy Chief Minister.
What about Mehbooba Mufti?
I don't have any problem with her.
Not total understanding though?
No, well, I'm still talking to Mufti Saab. I'm still talking to Mufti Saab.
Will your relationship...
that is for them to decide themselves. I'm not going to...
Will your relationship with the PDP last the full 3 years? Or is there any danger they may back up?
No, from our side, we are fully cooperating.
Are you confident about from their side?
No, I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
No, that is for them.
But you're saying you're not sure the alliance can last 3 years?
Alliance will last. Government will last. Alliance will last beyond 3 years.
But then what were you not sure about?
What they think of, I'm sure about it. I'm totally in constant touch with the Mufti Saab. We have quite often meetings, and there's no mistrust whatsoever.
In that case, let's take a break at that point. We'll leave the audience to interpret precisely what you meant. I want to come back after the break and talk to you about talks that the central government is holding with different groups in Kashmir, and also, if we have time, General Musharraf. We'll be back in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an exclusive interview with the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Ghulam Navi Azad. Mr. Azad, let's talk about the attempts being made by the central government to talk to different groups on the internal track in Kashmir. I put it to you that the recent roundtable wasn't just a failure, it was a farce.
It was first and successful. And
how could you be successful? It was boycotted by practically everyone who counts.
That's wrong.
Even Farooq Abdullah didn't come.
No, Farooq Abdullah was represented by Mr. Umar Abdullah.
Except for the fact that he personally declined.
Well, these days it is Umar Abdullah who's calling the shots in the political
and then, in addition,
system of Kashmir.
Mirwais Umar Farooq didn't come, Yassin Malik didn't come, Sajad Lone didn't come, Said Ali Shah Gilani didn't come. Worse still, Yassin Lone publicly said,
Yassin
Malik, that they are trying to make political jokers out of us.
Well, let me tell you, I have said there also, I have said on the floor of the House that there should not be any misunderstanding on anybody's part within the state and outside the state The ones who attended are duly elected representatives of the people of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh.
Except for the fact that you don't have any problem with them. The people you have a problem with, who you need to talk to, weren't there.
Yes.
So what's the point of talking to your friends?
But how many people they represent? So this, I totally agree. I said I'm for talks, I'm for peaceful solution, I'm for durable solution. I want that all these separatist organizations, leaders should be on board while we are trying to solve the Kashmir problem. But there should not be any illusion. They are only one part. The 80% leaders, be that National Conference, be that Congress, be that BJP, Panther Party, PDP, PDF, they are duly elected representatives of the people of the Jammu
Let's
Kashmir.
not get into the trap of deciding who's 20%, who's 80%. The point is that the people with whom you have a problem are the separatists.
Yeah.
The separatists boycotted. The sad part is that, in fact, the Prime Minister did open a dialogue with Mirwais Omar Farooq in September. It made a very good start. 6 months have passed and absolutely nothing has happened. So is the government serious about talking to Hurriyat, or is it just an exercise in PR?
Well, let me tell you, the government is very serious. Nobody should doubt the seriousness on the part of the government.
Can I tell you why I think the government isn't serious?
Yeah.
Because in September, when the first round was over, Mirwais Omar Farooq said to the press that the Prime Minister had told him the second round would be in October. In December, on the 14th, you as Chief Minister told The Hindu in an interview that the Prime Minister had told you the second round would happen very soon. 3 months have passed since then.
What the Prime Minister told me, that when Hurriyat had met him, and Hurriyat had told him that we will, when we are ready with the proposals, we'll inform you and we'll come back. So the Prime Minister told me that they were supposed to come with the proposals and they didn't approach me.
If it is simply a problem of communication, what stops the Prime Minister picking up the phone and saying to the Hurriyat, come and talk?
Well, I think they were busy more in talking to General Musharraf, and all the time they were spending there and less time.
I want to put something to you. Is the Prime Minister or the Prime Minister's office standing on false pride? Are they waiting for Hurriyat to say, knock, knock, we want to come and talk to you?
No, you are talking about a particular meeting that the Prime Minister didn't call them. That time the decision was that once the Hurriyat is ready with their agenda, with their proposals, they will inform the PO.
Hurriyat has been telling the press practically every day since October that they are waiting to be called a second time. They haven't been.
No, that's not true.
The Prime Minister got in touch with them to call them to a round table which they boycotted. Why couldn't the Prime Minister have got in touch and say, 6 months have passed since we had our last one-to-one, please come back and let's have another one?
Well, some initiative has been taken in the beginning, and in between, Prime Minister has met other groups also. Maybe some Hurriyat leaders wanted to be all them only, not the others. But our interest is in each individual and each group.
Let me put it like this. Are you serious about talking to Mirwais Omar Farooq and the Hurriyat?
Very serious.
This is not a PR exercise?
No, not at all.
It's not a camouflage?
No, it's not a camouflage. I think.
Then can I suggest one thing?
Yeah.
Since that is considered to be the most promising track, why don't you speak to the Prime Minister and say to him, let's get in touch with them. Let's not waste time. 6 months have gone by.
But let me tell you, I was the second speaker in the roundtable conference of the Prime Minister spoke first. The first thing I said, while the elected representatives are here from all the 3 regions, there are social organizations, there are other leaders, but there is a group which represents the voice of dissent. So if we have to find a durable solution, the voice of dissent has to be across the table.
Quite right. Now, why don't you just enforce that?
Listen. And it was on my request that we cannot have a roundtable conference minus voice of dissent. So I would like to suggest Honorable Prime Minister that we should have another roundtable conference. And it was nice of Prime Minister that he immediately, in his concluding speech in the evening, did not only announce the second roundtable conference, but also announce the timing and the venue.
Quite right, and there's absolutely no guarantee that any of the people who boycotted the first are going to attend the second. So what's the point of the second?
But then who will be responsible for that?
The government, surely.
Why?
Because it's the government that has to reach out.
This is the most unfortunate part in our Indian politics. The people go in and out to other parts of the world, other parts of the globe, other parts of the and meet different leaders, and when they are invited by their own prime minister, and if they do not go, so they are not being held responsible and the government is being held responsible.
All right, that is clearly your opinion on the Hurriyat. Let's leave it there. In the meantime, General Musharraf has also come forward with his ideas for a solution. He's talking about self-governance, he's talking about joint management. State ministers have welcomed the idea in private. Leaders of the opposition have welcomed it in public. Your ally has welcomed it in public. You've dismissed it out of hand. Why?
If you remember, again, unfortunately, nobody goes through the proceedings of the assembly and the statement made by in Jammu Kashmir. In the past 15 days, I have spoken on more than half a dozen times in the assembly congratulating General Musharraf that ultimately he has realized the ground situation in the Kashmir, and he has given up a number of things, and now he is ready for the talks.
This is very interesting.
Yep.
So now you're saying, if I understand you correctly, that you believe that there is a possibility of a solution in the thought of self-governance, in the thought of joint management. Is that what you're saying?
It's not a question whether we are talking of, I have own my perception, different people in Kashmir have different
but you're
perception.
welcoming.
No,
but you're welcoming.
we are welcoming. We say we have our own constitution, we have our own flag. Nobody can buy land, nobody can buy property who does not belong to you.
Now, today, as Chief Minister, you're welcoming the proposals.
I am welcoming the suggestions made by President of Pakistan to have dialogue with India. I am welcoming the decision and announcement made by Pakistan President that there is no scope for Azadi in Jammu Kashmir. There is no scope.
This is very different to what you said in January when the General first enunciated his ideas.
No, he was talking about the demilitarization.
So,
I was talking about the
demilitarization aside. Actually,
I still contest the demilitarization.
You also quarreled about the idea of self-governance. After all, you said who's elected us? It's not the people of Tamil Nadu.
There are two.
Now you're more welcoming.
No, I'm just, there are two different issues. What President has been talking about, he has been talking about demilitarization. So I was talking about that when President General Musharraf is talking of demilitarization in Kashmir, he should also talk about demilitarization in Gilgit and in Baltistan.
But what about self-governance? Those are ideas you welcome.
No, the question is what type of, that's what we want to have roundtable conference.
On those ideas, you are willing to consider dialogue, you are willing to consider talking.
Well, we have already discussed that in the roundtable conference. We have given option to everybody to put forth his or her opinion.
Chief Minister, we haven't got time, unfortunately, to take this further, but to many people it will seem there has been an important shift in your position in response to General Musharraf. One, I should tell you, many people would welcome. A pleasure talking to you on Devil's Advocate.
Thank you very much.